This system is weird. Oh, hello, howdy. Might have to pick a different day to do this. Only shows one person. All right, have a good night. Says two people are watching. Nobody's in the chat but me. Well, I'm gonna get started anyway. It says it got two people watching, so first I'd like to start off with some sad news. Well, two issues of sad news. Of course, we all know that the president 41 died, but at the same time, I like to give a shout out to the military who did an exceptional job today. From today backwards, in every event that they showed on TV, the military did an exceptional job. It was precision, and that's what the military is known for. They excel when it comes to these type of events. And my hat's off to the military for doing an exceptional job. And my condolences to the Bush family. He, of course, was a World War II fighter pilot. He served his country, and he served the country as president. We might not agree on the things that he done, but yet he was the president of the United States, and our hats off to him as well. And we also lost a soldier in Japan on a refueling mission with the KC-130 and a FA-18 Hornet. One pilot was rescued alive, and one pilot was of course, he subsequently died at the hospital, and they have 5 Marines that are missing. So our prayers go out to those families, and hope that we can be able to locate those bodies and be able to turn those bodies back over to their families. Also, the House and the Senate have passed a stopgap measure that will expire on the 21st of December. Yay! But it does not include money for the wall. Does not include money for the wall, unfortunately. So we don't know if the president is going to sign this bill, because Nancy Pelosi they asked Nancy Pelosi this question today, even though she is not the ranking member of the House. And she said she would not vote for this bill if it had border money included in it. And they said, well, would you vote for it if they had DACA attached to the bill? And she said no. So the Democrats are taking a staunch position here going forward that irregardless of what this president puts forward, if it has anything to do with border security in regards to building the wall, they are going to be against it. So look forward to a fight come January. And this one here just really blew my mind. I saw this in a news article today that the GOP senators have come up with a bill called the Wall Act, sponsored by Ted Cruz, John Kennedy, James Inhofe, and Mike Rounds, to fund the $25 billion needed for the wall to be built. And I'm thinking to myself, President Trump has been in office for 2 years. You would have thought they would have came up with this bill before now, when we're about to lose the House come January. You'd have thought they would have came up with this when he first got elected. We got the House, we got the Senate, and we got the presidency. Let's push this bill forward. No, they wait here to the ninth inning to come out with this bill. And it says it's revenue neutral because they're going to take the money that the illegals are funded because they are here in the country illegally, and they're going to use it to subsequently pay for the wall itself. which sounds good to me. I mean, and they also had this other article where one of the Honduran females, she was 19 years old, her and her husband and her 3-year-old daughter crossed over into the United States. And then subsequently, she had the baby here in the United States. Now, the baby is an American citizen. And her remaining family are living in Columbus, Ohio. And she was released on December the 2nd to go live with her family until her court date. And that is what's called an anchor baby. They come into the country, they have their children here, and they're anchored here in the United States due to the fact that the child is an American citizen. And that's what we have to face here in this country when we're dealing with illegal immigration and illegals crossing the border coming into our country. It's unfortunate, but those are the laws that our elected officials passed and subsequently added to those laws and created those loopholes for the illegals to take advantage of. The 14th Amendment was not passed for illegals to take advantage of, but some lawyer in his infinite wisdom found a way around and was able to attach that to any person that touched the American soil will automatically become an American citizen or have the rights of an American citizen. And so now we have illegals, once they cross into the country, they are afforded rights that the American citizens are afforded, and they're allowed to fight. They're allowed the ability to have an attorney. They're allowed to get medical care, housing, welfare, all of the benefits of an American citizen, even though they're not actually a citizen of this country. And that's what we're facing, and that's why the president's pushing so hard to have those laws strengthened in order for them not to be able to just touch the soil and be able to automatically get all of the benefits that an American citizen has. It was also announced today that the former Fox News person, Heather Nauert, she was a State Department spokesperson. So anytime that you saw the State Department giving briefings, Heather Nauert was the one that gave those briefings. Now she's been promoted up to the UN ambassador to the UN. So the president will be refilling Nikki Haley's job with another female, which is a good thing. So much for that sexist, that the president is sexist, huh? He's filling it with another female. And she was very strong as the State Department spokesperson. So we're hoping that, that trend of the United States taking a strong stand in the UN will be a productive one with another female who's very outspoken, who stands her ground, does not allow the news reporters to push her around, and takes a firm stand for the United States and its values in those briefings, because those reporters really give her a go on for her money, but she stands in there and takes them and gives it back to them. And that's what we need. We need a strong person in the UN. And I saw this other article about this mother and the father. They're in a custody fight. The mother wants the boy, who's biologically a boy, who wants to be a boy, but the mother wants the boy to be a girl. She is suing the father because she feels that he should be a boy, that she feels he should be a girl, and she wants to give him hormone treatment to convert the boy into a female. And so far, it seems like the judge is going to be on the mother's side. A Texas father in the middle of a high-stakes legal battle that could end in him losing his son. Jeffrey Younger has been charged with child abuse for not affirming his ex-wife's decision to raise their son, James, as a girl. James' gender identity depends on which parent he is staying with. So when he goes home to spend time with his father, he lives the life of a son. When he goes home to be with his mother, he lives the life of a female. And you can see the disparity between those two. We have a child who wants to be a child, instead of just allowing that child to be a child, grow up under the identity that he's already assumed he's a boy. He does the things that a boy does, but because he goes and live with the mother, and the mother wants him to be a girl, even though she didn't physically have a girl, she wants to convert her son into a female. I would consider that child abuse. That's just my opinion. If the boy is a boy, he has all the organs of a boy, he wants to be a boy, and because you want to push your opinion off on him as the mother, I think that's wrong. I truly think that's wrong. But that's what we have in this country nowadays. We have people who are making decisions. We have the courts making decisions where they shouldn't be making them. That's between the mother and the father. They should have came to an understanding. He should have knew who he was marrying before he decided to have sex with this woman. That she has this mindset that whatever child I'm having, I'm going to decide what sex it is. That's kind of weird. We are living in a society where we have just morally just gone down the tubes. We can't just say the biological makeup of you're male, period. And your biological makeup is you're female, period. Those are the two sexes, male and female. Now, if you grow up and you have that's a decision that the child should someday make of their own volition, not the parents should just dictate, okay, you're a male, I'm going to make you a female. Even though you still have all the body parts of a male, I'm going to make you a female. And it will be unfortunate if this child one day decides to kill themselves because the parent forced them to be a gender they do not want to be. And you find in a lot of cases that these kids go to school and they start to being bullied because then they start acting out in the way they've been psychologically programmed to do, to be a female, even though they have male body parts. And they begin to be bullied, and then they end up killing themselves because little kids can't take that pressure of other kids just talking about them constantly and name shaming them, because there's nobody going to step in and to defend them when they're at school. Kids do some wicked stuff at school. I've been through it as a child. I used to do it myself. We make jokes about people. That's what we did as children. I'm not saying it's right, but that's just what we did because we were kids. We go around, we do stupid stuff. And this child's going to face it if they go to school. One day you come in as a boy because you're living with dad. The next day you're going to come in and look like a girl. That just messes up your whole psychological mindset. And society is very cruel. It really is. And if you think it isn't, look at all the cases where these kids have killed themselves at 13, 14, 15 years old because somebody talked about them or they bullied them on the internet because of the way they looked. And that's what these parents are setting this child up to be. The boy wants to be a boy. The mother wants him to be a girl. Then she needs to go out and have herself a girl so she can raise him as a girl. But that's not my child. I am not involved in it. Just my opinion. The moral fabric of this society has truly changed. Like I said on my video earlier today, and there were people that disagreed, but this is just my feeling. This is where I stand on it. We were born male or female, period. I made a conscious decision of my own volition to be a heterosexual, to date other females. If you decide as a male that you want to date other males, that's your conscious decision. Are you talking about Luna? I don't know who Luna is. Let me see if that's the same person. No, this kid's name was James, not Luna. That might be another case. I'm not sure. So we make these decisions on our own. Nobody makes these decisions for us. If you decide as a female you want to be with another female, that's your choice. I don't have a problem with it. You made a decision. You ultimately got to answer for whatever decision you make. If you want to be a homosexual, then so be it. But as girl's name, yeah, that might be it. That might be the same one. When this might be the same case you're talking about, where when he's with exact same case. That's right, Tim. The girl's name, the boy's name is actually James, but the mom calls him Luna, which is wow. Can you give me a better name? But anyway, so we get into this battle back and forth of what sex that we want our children to be. We get into the homosexual fight, the gay fight, and it's not a fight. These are choices. Whatever choice you want to make, you stand by your choice. Me, I don't believe that homosexuality is something that you're born with. This is a choice. That's just me. That's just where I stand on it. There was a time when homosexuality was not on Front Street. It was something that we knew about. We just didn't put it out on Front Street. But as time has developed, we've developed into a sexualized society where all this stuff is out on the Front Street. Abortion is now on Front Street where everybody thinks it's okay to do that. We've just desensitized ourselves on all of these issues that used to be hidden that we didn't really talk about. Now they're out on Front Street. And I know there are a lot of people like, well, how could he be against homosexuality? That's something. This is why I say this. If you watched it in my videos, I'm a Christian. I'm a conservative. And where I get my beliefs from, I get my beliefs from the Bible. And we can have a debate on that. That's just where I stand. I come down where the Bible stands. As a Christian, that's my standard. And that's where I base that decision on. Now, we can disagree on that all day. I'm still going to stand where I stand, even though we might disagree. The Bible said we are male and female, and we are to reproduce of our own. So I'm going to take the Black community as an example. Within the Black community in general, a lot of the Black communities, they're very low income communities, a lot of them. Take Chicago or St. Louis or Baltimore. A lot of these are low income areas, and they put a lot of abortion clinics there. So they're always pushing abortion. And abortion is not called abortion anymore. It's called a woman's right. And that's the Democrats' way of rebranding. The Democrats are very good at propaganda. How did I put it earlier today? Messaging. They are very good at their messaging program. And the Republicans are horrible at it. So the Democrats have messaged the abortion issue as a woman's right. So when they push women's right down the Black community, it's pushed as a right. You have the right to abort that child if you want to. And since most Black women don't have a husband or a father, they see it as a way to get out of that situation. So a lot of Black people are being aborted. I would say abortion is murder as well. And so a lot of Black children are being aborted. So our numbers that used to be moving up the chart are moving down because we're killing our future. There are less Blacks in the country than it was, say, 5 or 10 years ago, because we killed all the babies, and the people that have had children are not having children anymore. So as the older generation dies off, the current generation who are not reproducing or have reproduced and are not reproducing anymore, that generation ends when that person dies. The same way if they become homosexuals. You can't reproduce. 2 females or 2 males cannot reproduce at the end of the day. So, and that's the whole reason why the Democrats are pushing illegal immigration. Because if we don't have enough American citizens, we'll just import immigrants into the country, and they'll backfill those spots that there are no Americans to fill. And that's why the Democrats have lost a lot of votes, because they're not focused on the American citizen anymore. They are focused on illegal immigration. And that's why they don't want to close the loopholes. And that's why we're in the situation that we find ourselves. That's right, Idris. We reproduce male and female. Even if you are for homosexuality or being a lesbian, I don't have a problem with it. That's your choice. But just know that there is no more future if you don't reproduce. That's still your choice not to reproduce. Just know 2 females cannot have a baby. There has to be a male somewhere in that process in order for another human being to be brought into the world. And if you decide to have a child and at the last minute you decide, well, I don't want it anymore, and you kill it, then you've just cut that future off. And a lot of people don't want to talk about that aspect of homosexuality or a woman's right to destroy the life, is that you're killing the future of the country when you take that life. And there's no other way around that. That's just the nature of it. And they've messaged it so well. They got all of this, the social media platforms, they push it. You've got the news agencies on the TV, they push it. So they've made it so easy to do that you don't even think about it. You just do it. Oh, it's the right thing to do. You got Oprah Winfrey on national TV talking about, oh, everybody having an abortion. It becomes like, oh, it's no big deal. But when you really sit down and think about it, you're killing your future. And you don't even think about it. You just do it because the Oprah Winfrey said it was cool for me to do, or this particular senator said it was cool for me to do. Understood. Now, what does this have to do with the stopgap spending bill? Oh, you missed it. So, the stopgap spending bill was the Democrats and the Republicans passed a stopgap bill. However, it does not include any funding for the border wall at all. And as it stands right now, we do not know if the president is going to sign this bill. But this bill only goes up from today to the 21st of December. Oh, you good? You're good, curly girl. So that's the reason why it's in the news. Instead of them putting the $5 billion in there for the wall and to pass a funding bill that will actually fund Homeland Security, because this what this fight is all about, Homeland Security. This portion of the budget has to do with Homeland Security. They will not fund the border wall, and Nancy Pelosi has already said today that she is not going to vote for any funding for the border wall. So here we are. Here we go. Go ahead and strap in. It's going to be a long fight. Even though we have a caravan that's trying to get into our country, and our laws are so bad. When we had an illegal female get into the country, have her baby here. Now the baby is a citizen. We still cannot get the Democrats to jump on board and to solve this problem. This is the result of what when we put people in office and we don't, hold them accountable for their records that they have. We go off of, okay, I've always voted Democrat, so I might as well continue to vote Democrat, even though I know they're not going to do anything for me. Does this include VAWA? What's VAWA? Girl, what's VAWA? VAWA. Is that VAWA? Got to explain that one. No, I don't think so. This is just strictly funding for the for a certain portion of the government. It has nothing to do Violence Against Women Act, which unfortunately, the things they should pass, they don't pass. That's what's so frustrating about this Congress that we have. Just like I was saying earlier, they passed this. They just came up with this bright idea to fund the border wall with taking the money that the illegals get for being here in the country to help pay for the wall. Stuff that makes sense for the government to pass, they don't pass. So, any other questions? Anybody got any questions? I'll have to look into it more because I don't think it does, but I could be wrong. Yeah, that's true too. But I'll look into it now and I'll find out. Because they do have the is that First Step Act that has to do with criminal justice reform. So we'll see. That's another bill that they should pass this session, but for some strange reason, I got a feeling they won't do anything other than do this last funding and then turn it over to the Democrats come January. Just like they're going to have this this briefing on Friday with James Comey behind closed doors. All he's going to say is that, you know, I can't talk about that. Or if he said something, it's going to be classified, and then we won't be able to get it out anyway. What do you think about Cecile Dion's neutral clothing for babies? And like I stated before, you're born male or female. When I was a baby, I was put into male clothing. When my sister was born, she was put into female clothing. I guess you could call me old fashioned. That's how I grew up. You know, we distinguish between males and females. There was female clothing, there's male clothing. And that's where I raised my children. The females dress like females, the males dress like males. We made a distinction because there is a distinction between the two. Who fought will the First Step Act be with? I would say the Republicans. It'll be the Republicans' fault if it don't pass. The Republicans have a weird way of snatching. They could have the victory and then they snatch it away from themselves and give it to the Democrats. Because if they do not pass it now before January, the Democrats are going to come in and muck it all up and not give the president the opportunity to sign the bill, and they're just going to keep pushing it off. And then 2020 is going to be here. That's the problem with the Republican Party. They could take something that could be a help and just mess it all up. They're notorious for doing that. It just irritates me how we had the House, the Senate, and the presidency, and we didn't do any. Majority of things was done on the back of the president. It wasn't done because of the Congress actually doing their job. He pretty much had to force a lot of that stuff through because they would just sit back and do absolutely nothing. Trump does support it, but just like Trump supports this border wall, but you would think Republicans would be on board, but they're not. We had 40 seats in the House of Representatives. All 40 of those representatives just quit and decided they didn't want to do it anymore. They didn't want to do 2 more years to help put this country on a good footing. They decided to quit and allowed some newcomer to run, and then we end up losing seats. I am a Republican. Actually, I've never voted Democrat. My first vote in any election was when I voted for the younger George W. Bush. That was my first time I voted. I've never actually voted for a Democrat. I was raised under the Democratic system because, you know, I was raised PO, as they say. I didn't have the OR, I had the PO. I was raised PO. So we knew about the government assistance programs. But once I became an adult and moved out and joined the military, my first actual vote was for George W. Bush. I did vote for Trump, and this is why I voted for Trump. Okay, it's really simple. The key issue that I always look at is abortion. If you're going to put that on your platform that you're for aborting a baby, I cannot support you, and that's where it starts for me. If that is a part of your platform, if you're willing to push the extermination of another baby, and I believe a baby's had when a male and a female appropriate and they have sex and a baby's conceived, that's where I believe life begins. That's just where I stand. So when that happens and you openly say you want to abort that, or you want to stand for a late-term abortion like Hillary Clinton stood for, I cannot vote for you. Absolutely not. If you're willing to say, if the baby's already coming out of the womb, you can abort it at that time, Why would I ever vote for you? That's just me. That's just where I draw the line. Nope, can't do it. That's why I would never vote for a Democrat, because they literally stand for a woman's right, and they put abortion under their head and women's rights. These are women's health issues. It is a health issue. It is a part of a woman's right. But what about the father? The father doesn't get a vote? I guess not. I'm glad me and my wife were on the same sheet of music when we had our children, that we were for us having our children all the way through birth and to raise them. That's just me. Now, before Trump decided to run as a Republican, he was for abortion. I will give you that. And then he changed his mind, said through further studying, and he came to the realization that abortion was wrong. And everything he's done since then has been for the right to not have an abortion. I mean, people do evolve. Yet I can't say, I don't know where he actually stands, because I never actually heard him say. He said he was for, for it. He was against it. Now he's against it. So you got to take him at his word. He says he's against it. So, and so far, everything he's done has been on the side of being against abortions. So, I mean, it's the Democrats always try to push social issues, and they always push the race issue real hard when they can't beat you on the issues. Or they'll always send out a black guy on CNN or MSNBC to attack a white guy based on his position. And that's the problem I have with Democrats. You can't fight me on the issues. You got to fight me on calling me a racist or sexist or misogynist. Let's talk about the issues. What is your position on XYZ? Don't call me a racist because we don't agree. And that's where you lose a lot of votes, when you start pinning people as a certain category. With every Republican is a racist. And if you trace the Democratic Party back further enough, you will see that they were against a lot of the acts that were passed in favor of black people back in the day. But, let them tell you there was a switch, and now the Republicans are the racists and the Democrats are for the people. So, yes, I remember when Obama said marriage between a man and a woman. It was during the him and John McCain were at this minister. They had a live TV broadcast, and both of them were standing up there. Two questions were asked: when does life begin? And then Obama said he didn't know, and then and McCain said begins at conception. So that was a defining moment right there. And then Obama said marriage between a man and a woman. And then as soon as he became president, he reversed himself. Said he didn't know when he thought that same-sex marriage should be legalized. And of course, he got rid of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and he allowed men and women to serve openly gay in the military. And that's when the LGBTQ community just went crazy. And now it's out on Front Street. Yes, the Democrats are good about playing identity politics. That's what they do. I mean, look at MSNBC or CNN. They always use identity politics. The night that CNN was allowed to get away with the correspondent getting on national TV and using the N-word, I'm like, wow, I'm done. This is ridiculous. That was like, wow. But, the Hollywood crowd can use the N-word. The rap music crowd can use the N-word, call women the B's, the H's. That's okay. But then you want to get mad about a Christmas song. Are you serious? How is it whatever that Christmas song is that they are objecting to now? Baby, it's cold outside. It's a Christmas song that's real cute, but then they went and changed it. Oh, this is offensive. But it's okay for the rappers to use the N-words, the kill the cops and all that stuff. That's okay. But you upset about a Christmas song. It's just unbelievable. But that's the world that we live in. The here and now, you know. Sorry about this. I hit the table one too many times. Hey, Lindell, how you doing, man? But that's the problem that we have. It's just a world out of control. There used to be standards, but the standards are just going by the wayside. The gravy train is over. American Patriot said the gravy train is over. Yes. I mean, I won't even talk about that. I'll leave it alone until another time. But we know where the NAFTA deal came from. It was done under George W. Bush. We won't disparage George W. Bush. He did what he thought was right at the time. But at the same time, I think the people that were working for him did him a disservice when they passed that bill. Yeah, no, I don't know what's going on. I guess the only way to fix that is that you have to turn on your notifications. And from now, at 8:00 on Thursday nights, I'll be going live. That's the only other way around that. So just pop on the internet. You can go to my YouTube and click on my name. 8:00 every Thursday, unless I come on sometime during the week and say, hey, I won't be able to make it Thursday. I almost didn't make it tonight because I have asthma and I got a viral infection. So it's real hard for me to speak sometimes. That's why I'm drinking a lot of water. They have me on amoxicillin trying to kill the virus or at least get it down to a manageable level. But I've been getting this stuff ever since I left Washington State. I got asthma for the first time when I was in Washington State. And I come here and it just gets worse. It's weird. But that's what we have. Any other questions? That's true, Idris. You would think they wouldn't want a lot of males to enter our country, but you got to remember their goal is to get votes. The Republicans are not really trying to fight for immigration controls because they want the cheap labor. Republicans get money off of the cheap labor. The Democrats get the votes because the Democrats have the appearance of being for the caravan. Republicans appear that we are against the caravan. So both sides got a stake in this game. If they can get in, they get the rights, and they look at the Democrats as they're good. They look at Republicans as bad. So more than likely, if they can get to vote, they can get to a state that would allow an illegal to vote, they're more than likely going to vote for the Democrat. Or if they get to a state and the Republicans are taking care of them as far as a job, then they'll vote Republican. It's a sticky situation. So I'd say we just need to get the Democrats and Republicans in a room and say no one's going back to their district until we fixed the immigration system, period, point blank. Nobody's going home for Christmas. Nobody's going home for New Year's. We are going to get this fixed. He gave them what did he give them? A pathway to citizenship or something like that. I mean, he allowed them some type of citizenship, some type of status where they couldn't leave the country, where they weren't going to get kicked out of the country. What do you think about the riots in France where they come to the United States? One of the reasons why they were rioting in France is because the French president Macron, who is trying to push the climate change deal and raise the price of gasoline. I think they're like $7. And the people got on the street said enough is enough. And that's why they were rioting and destroying stuff. And then he finally backed down after about a week of them just pretty much destroying a lot of Paris. He finally backed down and said he wasn't going to go forward with it. And as far as it coming here, I mean, we do have the only time I really seen this country really stand up was after President Obama had been in office and the Tea Party came into existence. That's when the only real big thing that came up, where they said enough of this. We want something new. We want something different. And they went and they voted out a lot of the, like 60 some Democrats out of the House, and they voted in some senators as well. That's how we protest over here. Now, you do see Antifa, which I think is a terrorist organization. They thrive on the West Coast, down in Oregon, where they go and block off city blocks, and anybody that they see, they just terrorize, and the police are not allowed to touch them. That's a terrorist activity within the United States, but nobody does anything about it. Nobody holds them accountable because the mayors and the local council allow them to do whatever they want to do. But instead of holding them accountable and say, hey, we're not going to have that in this country, they allow them to go out and protest and harass the people in the neighborhood because they feel that they're standing up for some type of justice. So that's weird. I mean, you can't get too many scientists in the same room and all of them agree that climate change is real. I mean, the climate does change, and it's always going to change. There are seasons where we get a lot of tornadoes, a lot of hurricanes, and then there are seasons where we don't get hardly anything. Look, this freak thing that happened in Alaska out of nowhere. We just had an earthquake. Are we going to blame it on climate change? It's something that happens while you live on this earth. Things happen. I mean, I guess we could cut back on some of the pollutants that we do, but it is what it is, I don't think we're as bad as some other countries are, like China, with pollution and taking care of the environment. We're nowhere near like those countries. I think our EPA standards are better than theirs. I was stationed in Korea, and because China has destroyed their agricultural land, all of the dust and stuff comes to Korea a certain time of the year, and it's just thick haze that just swallows up Korea once a year, and it's just real thick. But that's because nobody cares about their part of the country like we care about our part. But that's what we got to deal with. Any other questions? I know somebody's got a question. Don't be shy. Did any of y'all see the all the presidents in the cathedral when you had the Clintons, you had the Carters, you had the Obamas, and you had the Trumps, and everybody was laughing and talking before the Trumps walked in, and as soon as the Trumps walked in, it got silent, as if whoa, the president's coming in. Everybody got silent. And then you had Mr. Obama with his head up in the air like he was better than everybody else. And then you had Mrs. Clinton. She was looking like she could kill the president any moment now. And then Jimmy Carter was down at the end like, what are y'all doing? It was just something to behold. And the only person that he reached out and he shook Obama's and Miss Obama's hand, and he just totally overlooked the Clintons because they didn't try to engage him, and I wouldn't engage them either. Leave it up to me. I would just, all those documents that they trying to unclassify, I would unclassify them, and then we can really find out what happened during the 2016 election, how the Democrats spied on the Republican campaign, how they used unverified information to get a FISA warrant to open an investigation against the president. All of that, I think, is eventually going to come out as soon as the Democrats get in office and they start holding all these hearings. I believe that's when the president's going to just drop it on the American people. See, this is what they actually done versus what they tell you. And then we're going to really be able to see how crooked the system really is. Any other questions? Do you think us as blacks are or will be waking up to Democratic policy? Some will, some won't. And the reason I say that is because in communities where you have a lot of crime, you have Democrats in charge of those areas, and the Democrats are giving them pretty much their livelihood. They're giving them a welfare check. They're giving them a place to stay. And they're pretty much taking care of them from cradle to the grave. Why would you cut that spigot off if you could do it all for free? And those that make it out and become something in life, they tend to not look back, because you see a lot of those black people that go on national TV, they never go back into their communities and live there. They always move out of those communities to somewhere else. So they're in the ivory tower now, looking down on the rest of them like, you need to stay down there and listen to me when I tell you. Republicans are racist and Democrats are taking care of you, so vote Democrat. And that's the mentality. It's unfortunate, but they are suckers to the Democratic Party. They see on CNN, MSNBC, how bad this president is, how racist this president is, because that's all they ever hear. And some of them tend to believe that. And they never go out and do no independent research. And those that wake up and get out and see, like, wow, I'm actually doing better now than I've ever done it before in my life. And they actually give the person who's allowed this to happen credit for it, which is the current president. It wasn't Obama. There were more blacks in poverty during Obama than any time in the history of the country. But let him tell it, he had the best economy in the world. And nobody would talk about Obama because he was black. They would never want to be called a racist for talking about a black president. So all of the criticism that the current president is getting, he didn't get when he was president. All of the scandals that happened during his presidency, the Fast and Furious when we lost a Border Patrol agent to guns that are running over to Mexico, no one really asked any questions about that. We lost an American ambassador. No one really talked about that. They had hearings on it, but no one really talked about that. Not like they do about this president. If he sneezes the wrong way, that was unpresidential. Or if he salutes a former president at his funeral, I bet he did it just because. Come on, give the guy something. They won't even give him the time of day. But that's the campus system that we're dealing with. If they do not like you, they will talk dirty about you. And they didn't like President Bush. They talked about him like a dog. But because he died, oh, he was one of the better presidents ever. But if you go back and rewind the videotape and look at all the things they were saying about him at the time, you're like, wow, that's like two different worlds. They didn't say that. But that's the nature of politics. As they say, reach one, teach one. So I raise my children to understand the difference between, there's no difference between the blacks and whites. We're all the same. It's just your color's a little lighter than mine. We're all the same. We all bleed the same. We all serve the same country. You know, if you married somebody of the opposite color, so what? Big deal. It's of no value to me. Now, when I grew up, that'd be something different. I grew up kind of racist, but I grew out of it because I learned that life is not about the color of your skin, it's about the content of your character. If you don't never learn that, then you'll get stuck in that rut. But that's life. Any other questions? I'm trying to understand Obama wiretapping of Trump. Okay. Anytime that you talk to a foreign national, like General Flynn did, General Flynn had conversations with a foreign national. And here's where it's gonna make you mad, but that's the nature of our country. No matter who you are, if you're talking to a foreign national, your conversation is automatically recorded. If you start talking about espionage, any of that type of stuff, then that record will get flagged. Everything that you say, even in your normal conversation, is recorded somewhere in Virginia. All your metadata is recorded. So what they did was they took the conversation that General Flynn had, but instead of leaving his name, as they call mask, as just saying citizen number one talked to a Russian national, they unmasked that name, and they knew it was General Flynn. And so they did a news article, and what they did was they did a circle report. And, well, this is being talked about in the news about this person in Trump's campaign talking to a foreign national. And they turned around and got a FISA warrant in order to further wiretap his campaign. And that's how the whole ball started rolling. They unmasked an American citizen unlawfully, and then exposed it to the media. The media ran with it, and then the rest is history. It's out on Front Street, and everybody knows about it. And they used that against Flynn to get him to spill more information, and then he lied to the president. The president fired him, and now he's being charged for something that had nothing to do with President Trump. How they fixed the Democrat nomination for between Hillary and Bill and Bernie is because they did like when the Republicans did their debates, they did them at prime time, so they would get a lot of people watching these debates, and those debates can sway the public into voting for a certain candidate. But if Hillary Clinton, if everybody was automatically going to vote for Hillary anyway, because she was the most qualified, as they say, they put him on at times where there were not a lot of people watching it, so she was able to, look good, even though a lot of people weren't watching, and they were feeding her questions. So if you've been fed the questions, you already know what to say. And then Bernie Sanders wasn't really challenging her on the issues. She was able to not only beat him on the issues, he wasn't putting up a good challenge. Now, he raised a lot of money. He had a lot of followers, but he couldn't overcome the machine because she had super delegates. And they would already switch their votes to her before they even got to the end where the super delegates played any part. They were already in her camp before she even said she was going to run for president. So it was already a fix already in. Russian collusion is not a crime. Because he was in transition to be the president of the United States, him and his cabinet could talk to the Russians or the Israelis or the Chinese because they're transitioning into power. They're allowed to talk to foreign governments to set up, hey, when I become president, this is what I want to do for X, Y, and Z. They're allowed to do that. But what they're actually saying is that because the Russians were putting up ads on on Facebook or Yahoo, wherever the case may be, their thing was that somehow that President Trump was involved in that, and they have not found one shred of evidence to substantiate that claim, even though we've been doing this for almost 2 years. Let's see. So, and I don't think he was involved in Russian collusion at the end of the day. And this question, should Trump go ahead and release the FISA reports, even if the Dems run interference and gets no play in mainstream media? They could always say we already released them on such and such date. He had already said he was going to hold them until they start doing all of this, these witch hunt investigation. Then he was going to release them, and then that'll pretty much shut down all those debates, because then all of them going to be outed. Because I guarantee you, there are a lot of people that knew about this plot to frame this president, or to make this president look like he was working for the Russian government. I guarantee you, Comey, the Obama administration, a lot of those government officials are going to be outed if he releases these documents. That's why they're trying to keep them under lock and key. And if he releases them, then all that information is out there. So, and that's why you don't see Brennan on TV no more. He's kind of low key because he was a part of that. All of those intelligence officials were a part of this cover up. So All that information will come out if he released those documents. Okay, I need to know that to argue that. But I mean, even if you have the right evidence to argue a point of view, someone's still not going to believe. They're going to automatically believe that this president had something to do with Russian collusion. You can't move them off their point of view. So when you run to those type of people, you just got to move on, find somebody else to argue with that's going to have an open mind. If a person's already got their mind made up that Trump is the evil guy that he is, just because the mainstream news media has said from day one, they're not going to change their mind. You've got to find people that are open-minded, and y'all can have an honest discussion and lay the facts out, and then maybe they'll see it. And if not, you just move on. Yeah. I mean, some people just are not going to leave the Democratic Party. It doesn't even matter if President Trump releases all those documents and they fully see that the Democratic Party was involved in it. They are not going to believe it. They're going to say Trump had something to do with it, to switch that evidence to make it look like the Democrats did it. That's just how they are. Some people are just not going to see the truth, even though it's staring them in the face. And I've come to realize that some people you just can't win over. You just hope you can win enough to sway the election. Yeah, we started having a political discussion at Thanksgiving. I said, nope, we're not going to talk politics at the table. No, because they were already talking about Trump. Nope, we're not going to have that discussion. We're not even going down that road, because they wouldn't want to hear what I had to say about the last president. So we ended that discussion. We'll call it truce, and we'll just talk about family stuff. We're not going to talk politics, because I didn't agree with nothing they were saying. And what they were saying was something they heard off of the news channel. It wasn't something that was factually based. About 2 more minutes and I'll wrap this up. My throat's about to go. But before I wrap it, I want to say to everybody who's been a supporter of this channel, I thank you all. It has been a tremendous blessing to get the support from you all, to have a loyal following that'll come on. They'll comment on the videos, good or bad, and we can come on here on Thursdays and have an open conversation. I appreciate all of you. It is very humbling, to say the least, to be a part of a good group that gives some good comments, and I appreciate that. And I try to come in just about on every time I see a notice. I try to get in and read the comment, and then I try to comment on it right then. I don't waste no time. So that's what I try to do, And if if you say something that I might not agree with, I'll read it and then I respond to it. And if you respond back, we just keep it going. That's just how I try to do it. I don't try to belittle anyone. I try to put the facts out there as I've researched them and I read up on them, and then I get feedback from you all, and that's how we'll do it. And if you have something that you want me to discuss, in one of the comments, just drop it in there and I'll make a video on it. We can discuss it or hold it until next Thursday, whatever case may be. But again, I thank you all for supporting the channel, and I appreciate all of you. I want all y'all to have a safe week. And as usual, God bless you all. And I'll see y'all on the next video or on the next live stream next Thursday.